And I'll probably run out of battery today because my phone's pretty full of pictures and videos. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, hopefully. Well, let me organize. I want you to be able to see my paper and yeah. Got too much junk. How's that? I want to love John's cereal bar. Alright, is there a way to zoom in on this thing? Oh, you just move it. Is that good? No, you're gonna need a marker.
What color should I choose? Those are markers?
Alright, so I try to get the thin marker so you can still write precisely. And ultimately the colors mean nothing, okay? For now, if you'll put away your Chromebooks, just so you're kind of focused on what's going on. Alright, so here's the goal. Alright, ultimately I want you to do your own letter because it makes it more real, but it really ended up confusing everybody in the last class because I said just make your own letter. But if you don't follow exactly what I do, you probably get confused because you'll have to do different letters and it won't match what I'm doing. So ultimately, let's all do the same letter. Okay, we're gonna do basic.
Can we do K? Can you please do K?
Jesus, okay. Alright, let's do K.
Can we do the,
Alright, I'm gonna try to do a K. I'm gonna try to build a K.
They have to be in the
Let's
same
do an
spot.
L.
yeah, do L.
Yes.
Let's just do
Oh, L is nice, but I've already started a K. Oh, geez, this is gonna be tough. Oh my god.
What is that?
Yeah,
Shut
just do it. It's a K, you asked for it. Just do an L.
Ooh, this is difficult. I don't know how to do this.
We should do
Just
an
make
L.
a straight line again.
Shut your mouth. This is okay.
It looks like the kiss cake.
That's horrible. I hate everything about that.
So do an L.
Let's
So, how about we
Yeah,
all do
wait,
it?
wait, wait.
No, I'm
Why
doing
did
my
you do
letter.
that?
Okay, I'm doing an N because I can rock an N for easy.
For Nadia.
It's because your name is.
You should do an
Not.
L.
I should.
Tell me up.
An L is like.
Okay,
Can
so
I
I'm
do
doing
an
an
L?
N because, as I said, it's easier for me.
No, no.
Can I do
Because
an
that
L?
K was really.
Can I do an L?
Yeah, can I do
Okay,
an L?
guys, listen. You can do whatever you want. It's your paper.
Thank you.
However, you have to write the ordered pairs that correspond to your letter, and it won't match mine, so you have to do all the thinking yourself. I don't care what you do.
I can't do that.
I don't. L is just
I'm gonna do it in
Make a little bit
Mother.
Well, if you want to match me, otherwise you gotta do your own points.
There's nothing gracious.
I can't.
You said L.
But I actually did
It's,
Look,
it's
you start
6,
here and
but
then
it went up
it's
1
Okay.
to start, right? So it went up 1, and it's 6 tall.
Oh, I made mine 11.
And I tried to make these only 2, but who knows?
I messed up.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that happens.
Like
It's
it'd be
okay.
7. It'd stop at 7 if you started from this line, but if you start from the point, then it's only 6.
I like you're an artist in geometry.
Good.
Can we put flowers inside of it?
You can, but I would wait.
Oh, this is so beautiful.
I don't know if you can see any
Oh,
better.
mine
if I
looks
do this.
ratchet.
Yeah, mine's skinny.
Look at it.
Looky, look. That's nice.
All right. Now,
That's what they
to make it easier on me to see and to identify points, because what we're gonna do is a transformation on this letter. Okay, you guys remember transformations? You probably already learned them in 7th and 8th grade.
Oh yeah.
So a transformation, there's a flip, that's
X
called a
and Y.
reflection. There's a rotation. We're doing translations today, what I
Oh,
consider
okay.
the easiest ones. Okay, and for translations, I'm gonna put a label on our paper. We're gonna translate today. These are called translations. Now,
We
oh, you
can't
can't
see.
see it, I'm so sorry. So, the thing is, translations are just slides. So what that means is, for reference, I'm gonna put a purple dot up here at the top of my N, and I'm gonna also put an orange dot up here at the top of my N. And I'm gonna say, okay, we're gonna move that purple point, we're gonna move that orange point. To me, the colors make it easier to refer to this, okay? That's the only reason that I'm putting colors. I'm also gonna put a green one over her.
Pick your color.
Mary?
That's Mary.
Alright.
Alright.
I don't know who
So-
that name is.
Virgin Mary.
This one's kind of dark. It's hard to see. Is the light on?
Oh, Jesus, mother.
Other than green.
I'm just
Mary, the
It
Virgin.
didn't help.
No, like
It didn't
keep
help.
green.
All right. So, what I want to do, my goal is to get the end that's right now in the first quadrant.
Your next quadrant.
I want to get it into the second quadrant. Okay? And so, in order to do that, I want my end to look exactly the same. I want my green dot down here, my purple dot up there, my orange dot over there. I want all those in the same orientation, but I want it to slide over to the second quadrant. Okay? So how do I get it to the left?
You make the X negative.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, you just make the X negative. So what I'm gonna write
Wait.
is called a rule. Okay? Yeah, it's called a rule. And my rule is I'm gonna take whatever the ordered pair for these three dots, whatever it is, I'm gonna call it X, Y,
I
right?
thought that was just a sad face you drew.
And change it so that I make my X negative. But I don't wanna just make my X negative.
No, because then if you just put a negative, it would be.
It would reflect. Exactly. So what I want to do is actually take something away from X, slide it over, so I'm going to have to make it more negative. In other words, I'm going to put negative 12 with this guy. And I'm not going to change my Y, because if I change my Y, it would go up and down some, right? I don't want it to go up and down any. I don't want to move any, change any that way. So, all right. Now here's the hopefully not confusing part. I'm going to take this orange dot, okay, and I'm going to write the ordered pair for it. He's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he's up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to say that I start at 8, 7. Did I do that right? I went over 8 and up 7. I started at 8, 7 with my orange dot. What will he turn into if I apply this rule that I just wrote? The rule says take the X and subtract 12 from it. It'd be 8 minus 12, which is, yes, negative 4, and then what would the Y value be?
7.
Still 7. Don't change the Y. So, here, I'm going to go ahead and give him a name. I'm going to call him O for orange. Okay, and O up here, I know. O for orange. And so, if I move this orange point to negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, and then up to positive 7, here's my new O point. What are we going to call him? O
She said
prime. Because I changed him, right? He's from O, turned into a 1. Yes, ma'am.
My point was 4, 8. Hilarious. Do 4 minus 12.
Yes, and you'd be negative 8, 8.
Mine was
All right.
48.
Now, again, right, if you guys have different letters, right, if you changed it, then you're going to have different starting points that you're going to have to do the minus 12 to. I'm going to go to my purple point now. My purple point is at positive 2, positive 7. I'm going to call him P for purple. And he's at positive 2, positive 7. If I apply the rule to this guy,
That's going to be negative 10.
okay, how'd you get that? How'd you get negative 10? You just do 2 minus 12, right? So negative 10 and also 7.
I'm supposed to know what I'm doing.
So where's he going to end up? 4,
I don't.
6, 8, 10, and up to 7. And I'm calling him P for purple. He's going to get a P prime. And finally, this green point, I'm going to call him, guess what? G, because I'm not very original.
Oh, which one's pink then?
He's at 2, 1. What would he change to? Does anybody know?
Negative
Negative 10, 1. Now, if you use a different letter, you had different points, you're going to have to assign those different ordered pairs, but you're going to still use the same rule. We're going to still use X minus 12, Y.
Oh, no, I did it right, don't I?
points for reference so that I make sure I have it in the right spot, but I'm gonna go ahead and draw the figure. And since my figure is the exact same, it shouldn't be hard for me to just draw it on my own. Isn't it? Okay, the thing that you want to keep in mind for a translation, see how the orange dot is still on the top right where it's supposed to be? I didn't change the orientation, I didn't flip it. It looks exactly the same. Every point moved the same amount. Every point moved with an X value, it just moved 12 to the left.
So what this thinks? I'm behind.
Well, it's close.
What did yours look like yours did?
I think that does.
Like that.
Mine looked like that.
Okay, now if I wanted my original letter to end up in quadrant 4, what would need to change there?
Minus
Y.
the Y.
The Y is gonna need to change. All right. I already made a mistake earlier by writing it up here at the top. We need to write it at the bottom so we don't crash into where we're going.
Okay.
So for my rule, which I'm writing it as a rule. There's another way that I can write the change that I'll show you in just a minute. But the rule is gonna be, okay, I start off with X, Y, but he's gonna change to, does the X change?
No.
No, X is gonna stay the same, but the Y, I'm gonna minus, let's minus,
3.
8.
if I move 3, it's gonna just move 3 and it's gonna overlap.
Oh, are we talking about P?
We're talking about every one of these
I just had a
points.
written number. I don't know what we're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna say 10, okay, yeah.
I like this movie.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Maybe
So I
like
Alright.
Hey, did y'all take your class?
Alright, I'm gonna start with O, my orange point, okay? O starts out at 8.7, okay? The original O up here was at 8.7, right? I already counted that. If I apply the rule, yikes, if I apply the rule X, Y minus 10, what will this become?
Am I silly?
Yes. I need, yes. Dang it. What's on 4?
Okay. 7
Oh,
minus
shoot.
10 is negative.
Wait,
No,
what'd
I,
you say
can
right
I
now?
go like a
Right.
different number?
I said
It should be 8,
you better.
negative
You
3.
better.
I don't want to. Hold on. Wait, I'm still trying to blow
Can I do a different number? Because like how mine is.
As in like a color.
No, I
Wouldn't
think it's
work
just
out,
that,
right?
and then I'll just pop it.
What else?
I mean, to do it wrong is annoying.
No, like you said, I meant
Probably
with
messed
the
up.
color. What else could it be?
You should have seen what happened in the last.
I'm sorry.
That's why I have white out.
Yeah, she's using.
I was like teaching it wrong. Okay, so if I apply the rule that we said we're just gonna subtract 10 from Y, I should get 8, negative 3. So I'm gonna go over to 8 and down to negative 1, 2, 3. Now that's the top of my N. So that looks like it should be in the right place to get all of the points in the 4th quadrant. Okay, so let's do the purple point now. Remember that the purple point started at, I'm gonna look up here and cheat so I don't have to count again. It started at 2.7. And when I apply this rule, it will become 2, negative 3. So I'll go over to 2 and down to negative 3. That's my purple point. Oh, I forgot to name him. He's P prime. I forgot to name my orange point.
Well, wouldn't it be
Oh my
something else?
gosh.
Okay, that's a good question. Now, why? How can I name this guy O prime? But remember, it would be double prime if I moved it from this point, right? If this is the one I moved from, now it would be double prime. But I'm still going back to my original. So this is still O prime and P prime. It's confusing, I get that, but that's how you name them ultimately.
Oh, it's just one.
Yeah, and then my last green point, he started at 2.1,
Yes, and then you move it to negative 9.
and he became 2, negative 9. Good job, Caitlin.
Oh man, I totally.
I can understand
Caitlin
this.
gets this,
I
right?
don't get proofs though.
She was green.
Oh my god, proofs make me
Give her
want to
yellow.
cry.
Alright,
Okay.
so since I have my points, it's oriented the same, right? There's no flipping, no turning, nothing like that. I'm just gonna redraw my N, and I hope you guys have the confidence to do that.
No, I don't even know what we're doing.
Redraw your letter.
I'm on P.
on negatives, the higher the number, the lower the actual value is. Okay.
So the more negative is, the smaller it is.
Yeah.
I could do it.
It's really just the opposite.
Oh no.
Oh man, these
Okay.
are my buddies. Look at that.
Yes.
How come mine, like, don't turn out like?
Look at
Oh,
that.
yeah,
We
yeah.
should have, we should have done the change.
I did the same thing, like, the one.
So you did
Yeah, you're right.
4, 8 became 4, -2.
I just
Are
figured.
we taking a break so we
I
can
messed up
finish?
on
this.
this.
Give
Just give me one
2,
Did you do one instead of two?
-2. What's wrong with this?
What did I do?
Nothing's wrong with this.
Instead of making.
These are all right. Did you put them down here?
This?
Did you plot them?
You did one. Yeah, but like they don't line up.
Hey,
Like,
yeah.
it's like me standing next to you.
Quit.
Like, there's no.
Well, you didn't.
Look at my
This is not -10, -8. -10, -8 is -10, and then 8.
Look how good they are.
Okay. Yeah, start from the origin.
I think that looks.
All right, that's a good question. All right. So of course, what are we gonna do? I would like for us to go ahead and get one in the third quadrant. So in order to get it in the third quadrant,
That was in call.
You have to.
Subtract both of them.
yeah, we're gonna have to subtract both of them.
That's great.
What if I wanted to add to the x? Where would I change? If I started here and I added to my x, what would happen? It would go, if I added to the x, it would go to the right.
Yes.
Okay, but it would stay in the same quadrant. You're right. I didn't
Yeah.
hear that part. And then what if I added to the y?
It just go
Just
up.
go
It just go up. So it wouldn't change out of my quadrant. So if I want to go to the left and up, what would I have to do?
You subtract.
Subtract
X,
the x, but add the y.
Okay.
Add.
If I want to go left and down,
You would have to subtract the X and Y.
okay. And if I want to go to the right and down,
You would add X and subtract Y.
okay. Everybody good with what's going on?
Yes.
All right. So now we're gonna add. Since we're going to our last place, we're gonna change the way we describe the movement.
Oh, we are?
Yes, we're gonna change the way we describe the movement. We're gonna write it as a vector.
Okay, well, I already.
Vector.
What happened?
Oh, yeah.
What?
It's the Despicable Me thing.
You know, like the orange
The
guy?
guy with the orange pantsuit.
He's like, oh yeah.
But how does he talk about vector? Is that his name?
That's his
Yeah.
name.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's vector.
And he makes a weird like reference to force and motion.
Okay. So
No,
a
he's
vector
like, he's like,
a vector is kind of like a ray because it tells you how far you're moving. Okay?
Oh,
So-
so the same thing in this case with the rule.
Yes. So what I'm gonna do is my orange. What I want. Okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Let's actually do it
Hold
two
it.
ways. Let's do it two
Hold
ways.
on, wait a minute.
So
Something
first
right.
we're gonna write the rule, and we're gonna say that the xy.
You can't see that.
I'm sorry, I'll move in just a second.
Oh, for the top one?
Yeah. Let's say we're still gonna try to get it here, but we're gonna write it in two ways. We're gonna write it as a rule and a vector.
Oh, so I should have left space.
Okay.
You're fine. It's okay. So for the rule, let's go ahead and say I want to get it here. So let's do x minus 12. Okay. And then y minus
I don't know.
10. Nice. All right. So that is the rule that I want to write as a vector.
So should I
So
write
how
that?
you do
So
that?
guess how you write it as a vector.
How do you
I
do
want
that?
y'all to look closely at what I write. If I want to move to the left 12 as a vector, I'm going to write it -12, -10. And look at these things that are not parentheses. This is how you write the vector.
Now what is that?
The vector is very concise. It just tells you exactly how much you're moving on the x and how much you're moving on the
So
y.
it tells
and
you to
writes it-
change.
It's all you do is write the change. So you don't say x minus 12 and y minus 10. You just write the -12 and -10 in those places. But be sure
They look like
that
that.
you write them with these little these parentheses that are not parentheses.
What do they call it, like, actually?
I do not have a name for them. I call them shh. Okay.
They should be called
I don't know the name. There probably is a name, but I don't know it. So I call them shh.
Minions.
Okay.
parrots, because they're not full parentheses.
Okay, let's just call them parrots. That's
Yeah.
good. That's a good
What
idea.
do
All
you-
right.
what?
Yeah.
So now we're gonna go through. We're gonna write
Write
I'm gonna leave this, okay? I'm just gonna leave this, but I'm gonna use the vector. I'm gonna go to the orange point, right? The orange point started at 8,7, and if I apply this vector, it becomes anyone.
-4,
-4, -3.
Okay, and I wrote -4, -3. Thank you for whoever was doing that calculation. So I've started the origin, and from the origin I'll move to the left 4 and down 3. That's my new O prime. Yeah, there's 3 O primes because I did 3 different translations. And then I'll try the purple point. The purple one started at
2, 7.
You did what?
2,7,
Oh, anything?
and he becomes
-2,
She's going so
negative
fast.
10, negative 3.
Yes.
I'm so confused.
So I'm gonna go 4, 8, 10, negative 3.
Is it -3 or -4?
Good question.
Ah,
7 minus 10.
3. You can see it from up here. You use the X of this one and the Y of this one.
And then the last point, the green point
I
G,
don't know what I'm
he
doing.
started at 2,1
No, why would you do it?
and he changed to, once I apply this vector,
I don't know what I'm doing.
he's at negative 10,
Okay.
negative 9.
Oh, I'm so silly.
So I'll go over to negative 10 and down to negative 9.
I hate translation. What are you?
That's not that bad. As much as
Yeah,
that
for
is.
These are the easiest transformations.
I love this. I can
No,
actually do
I
it.
think the
Draw it
reflections
somewhere.
are pretty based
I'm
on
actually,
I think reflections are the
okay,
easiest.
when we reflect over lines,
overlay.
it's more difficult. You reflect over an axis,
Yeah.
but when you reflect over a line,
My Insta got good.
it's not as easy. But I'm sure you guys will be fabulous.
Yeah, I'm gonna try.
Oops. Right out.
I never learned how to use
This
that.
is my least favorite thing in the world. Did you check your project yet?
Miss
No, I
Kissick.
do
That's funny.
I do it
I
tomorrow.
thought you said Miss Kissick.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay,
I don't have
so since we started here at P, we wanted to move it to the left 12 and down 10. So I took the ordered pairs and the X value, I subtracted 12. And the Y value, I subtracted 10. Got the new points, plotted the new points, and then drew in the figure. You can also just count.
I'm taking, something got lost along the way, and then they all ended up in the bottom half.
Wait, why do you have
No, what? No, let me
Because
see.
my end looks like Dookies.
Wait, let me see, Corey.
It's amazing.
Okay, so how do you
draw a
make
line
that
right
mistake?
Corey, oh no.
Use the black one to draw a line.
It's for Cora Lynn.
She changed her into
I'm sorry, dear.
because she didn't like her in. So she changed it.
Okay, so that is all that I have for you. There's